What's going on, everyone? I'm finally back on the air. I thought it would be time to do another blog, and I'm guessing that all you guys are wondering why the hell I'm standing in the middle of a fucking car park looking like a moron. Well, today's the day I introduce you to the new bike. It's been a long time coming. It's taken me a few months to find the right bike, and it ended up that I had to wait for the right bike anyway, so without any further waiting, here it is. It's a Yamaha MT-09. For the guys in the States, it's an FZ-09. Everyone's probably heard quite a bit about this bike. I'm really rapt to finally have it. I had to wait, well, not that long actually. By the time I made my decision, it was pretty much here already. But I had to put a deposit down on it before it got released to actually get one and make sure I get it in the colour I want. Yes, I've done 100 Ks on it so far and just trying to get used to it. I was going to do a blog, like riding at home, because I had the camera on me, but to be honest, it was pissing down rain and it just wasn't interesting because I was trying to get the bike home in one piece more than anything. Yeah, so anyone who doesn't know what it is, it's Yamaha, obviously. It's a 850cc triple engine, 3-cylinder. It makes a crap load of torque. Power-wise, it's, 115 horsepower, but I think at the wheel it's like 105 or something. But that doesn't tell the story. It's the torque that makes this bike stand out. It's definitely way more powerful than the Triumphs. It kicks really hard down low. I did a wheelie on it within the first 4 kilometers on the way home, just trying to take off from the lights. What else? As you can see, it's the orange color, or they call it blazing orange. It's a really nice color. Hopefully the sun comes out and you can actually see what it looks like. It's actually got a yellow metallic through it as well, and in the sun it looks fan-freaking-tastic. No mods to it yet. I've just put the bobbins on the back of it, obviously in the gold colour to try and keep the colour theme going. Going to be doing braided lines for it very shortly with gold fittings. New brake levers, obviously, brake lever and clutch lever. And I am going to do an acropovic exhaust for it once they finally hit the bloody market. When I first saw this bike, I thought, doesn't really look that interesting, but in person it looks fantastic. I mean, it's a very supermoto sort of look, but it's also very aggressive looking. Yeah, it's a hell of a bike. It's incredibly light. Like it's a bit heavier than the Triumph, but it feels lighter, and it's very, very flickable when you're just having a bit of fun with it. But yeah, I thought I'd do like a 100-kilometer review of it, just tell you what my thoughts are. And I love this bike. It's a great amount of fun. It's very cheap for what you get. It does have some flaws that I've already found, things that aren't mentioned in other reviews. So this will probably be like another 20-minute blog. I'll try to keep it down a bit, but I want you guys to experience it real world. I don't want to do just like a quick run through sort of thing. So we'll go for a quick ride like we did with the CF Moto. Now, I've been running this bike in B for boring mode. It's not boring, it's still fast as hell. But it starts off in standard, which is alright. Standard and A, I find, like just trying to get used to the bike to start with, it's a bit twitchy, trying to take corners and when you're trying to take off. So I'm just leaving it in B at the moment. It doesn't seem to affect the outright power that much, it just affects the throttle response a little bit. So I'm just sticking with that for the time being. Jumping on. The seat height on this bike is incredibly low and very narrow. Lower than the Daytona, well, sorry, way lower than the Daytona, way lower than the Street Triple R, and it is lower than the normal Street Triple also. I can almost flat foot this bike on both sides, which is great. The dash cluster is really, really good. I thought it would be pretty crap and budget, but it's got everything on here. You've got average fuel consumption, work. Engine temperature in Celsius, because we don't use Fahrenheit. Ambient temperature, which I just went past, that was, 17 degrees, same shit. Done 100 kilometers. Trip 1, trip 2. Instant fuel usage, I think that is. And average. And I have no idea why it's flashing. I haven't even looked at the manual yet, but let's stick with average. Right now we're sitting on 6.9 litres per 100, but I've been doing a lot of stop-starting, just sort of revving the engine up quite a bit. The guy said to go easy on it, but I'm like, nah. I don't bet engines in that way. I prefer to run them in, give them a really good run. So you've got the tacho along the top. You can't read it. It's pretty useless, but I've never needed a tacho, to be honest. I can tell what an engine's doing just by its power band. Very responsive though. No issues there. Speedo's easy to see. It's good. Got a gear shifter there, and it's also got an eco thing that comes up here at random times. It just seems to be when you're riding the engine. No idea what the hell that does. As you saw when I started it, it's the starter switch is here. You go back, and to turn it off, you go up just to, kill switch. You got your hazards, you got your mode button to change all your modes. So we've got B, we've got standard, we've got A for awesome or aggressive. We'll stick with boring. And you got your horn, but that's it's in a really bad spot. I keep hitting the friggin' horn. I'll get used to it eventually, but the indicator's easy to use once you know where it is, and you got your high beam here, which is integrated with your headlight, which is pretty standard. It is supposed to be ride by wire, but I don't think it is. I think it's got two sets of throttle body blades, because there's got cable assembly running down to the engine, and when you got the bike off and you're going, giving a bit of a rev with the engine off, you can hear the plates moving. So I'm assuming it's got operator-based throttle bodies, and then it's got a computer-controlled one below that, like they do on a lot of Yamaha bikes. But no one knows what the hell they do with it, so I'm just guessing there. Shall we go for a ride? Why not? Let's go for a ride. Bam! Putting it into gear is, certainly clunks in. It does have, this is one thing I have not heard in any review, there is quite a lot of chatter when it's in neutral, from assuming the clutch. You can feel it. You can feel it right through the bike, and you pop it into first, it goes away pretty much. Clutch isn't too bad. It is a bit heavy. I'm sure I'll get used to it eventually, but it's probably about twice as heavy as the CF Moto's clutch, and the Triumphs are about the same as the CF Moto. Thing's a freaking animal. I love it. That's the twisty section done already. I just like this road because it's nice and wide and smooth, and I'm just trying to scrub the tyres in a little bit. Get used to the bike. Now we'll turn around. The clutch feed-in, it's pretty progressive. It wants to sort of pop out a little bit. That's not too bad. I'm sure I'll get used to it after a while. Oh yes, it's so agile. Once you get it planted, it feels really nice. I definitely need to do some work on the suspension though, because the back end gets unsettled really easily. It starts to sort of bounce around and upsets the front end as well. So I'm pretty sure it's too soft because it's freaking bouncing like crazy. I've got to bring up the preload. It should be within my weight though. I mean, most people find it too soft even on maximum, but I'll try and turn it up a bit, play around with the settings. Now another thing I noticed in the review is the guys say that it pulls cleanly from low down. Not really. If I put it in first, this could be chain slack, I'm not sure yet, but this bike has only done 100 Ks. But let me just, most bikes I've got will just pull in first gear without any throttle, so I'll let this go into, and it's sort of, it is juddering. And it's not smooth, it's sort of Now if I put it in second, still a bit juddery, it's not smooth. That said though, like, it pulls cleanly, it just doesn't like to be in that rev range. I mean, obviously the engine, no engine likes to be revving that low, but it's not happy, the fueling's not happy down there. And it's, see, it's sort of, it's still not cleaning up. I don't know if you can see it on camera. The camera's probably shaking a little bit. It's not. Now it's possible this might get better once the engines run in a bit more. But yeah, it's. I wouldn't call it silky smooth. Factory engine noise isn't too bad. It's got a nice sort of triple growl to it. The street triples, probably about on par with this. This is way more deep though, because obviously because it's got a bigger engine. When you roll onto the power though, it just pulls. It pulls and pulls and pulls. It does not give up. Some real world stuff that we can talk about. It's I'm not sure what they've done with the gearbox, but the shift is very, very positive. It just sort of wants to find a gear and sit in it. If you're rolling up to a set of lights and you want neutral, you just give it a flick up and it hits a wall and it's in neutral. It just knows where, it just knows you want to be in neutral. It's a hard thing to describe. Most bikes you sort of got to go up and down and find it, but as long as you're just coming to a stop and flick neutral, it'll find it. And if you're going a little bit quicker than that, it finds second gear. So it's quite odd. I'm not sure how they managed to get the bike to do that. But it's a very positive shift. I'm still getting used to it. It's a bit clunky for me at the moment because it just hits the gears so quickly. I don't know where we're going. This weather's been crap. I've had this bike for 3 days now and it's rained every day. But I guess that was going to happen regardless. A few people have said the rear brake on this bike is too sensitive. I don't really agree. I think it's fine. It's got really good feedback, I'll say that. It's nice and firm, but you do have to stand on it to lock the tyre up. I think the CF Moto actually locks up easier, but the difference is the CF Moto has got a very soft lever, so you can't feel anything. Ergonomically, this bike is very upright. The bars are really close to the seating position. I'm sure you'll be able to change that with some different bars at some point. But I'm finding it quite comfortable. I'm getting used to it now. It felt very, very upright when I first sat on it, but within a couple of hours, I don't notice it now. It feels very similar to pretty much any other naked bike. The First thing that has to go on this bike is the bloody seat though, because it is like a rock. I'm sure they did that to sell you a new seat, but it is like a supermoto seat. It's like sitting on a plank. So yeah, get rid of that. But yeah, this bike, it's all about the engine, and it's all about the torque, which I'm sure Yamaha will crap on about with the cross-plane jargon that they go on about. I mean, it's probably not the best bike for Australia, to be honest, because it is a hoon machine. It just, first gear, it'll be up in the air as soon as you give it a moderate amount of throttle. Second gear, it will come up pretty quickly if you're not smooth with it. There's guys that have had the front tyre up in fourth gear powering on with this bike. And I believe it, like, it's savage. And there's been quite a few people, I know of one that's been dropped already during a test ride. Someone was telling me about that the other day, but I think this bike doesn't look intimidating enough to people. Like, people are saying, oh, you know, talking about it as a first bike or whatever, and it's like, there's no way. This, like, it looks not that menacing, but you got to remember it's an 850cc engine and it's designed for low-end torque, so it's going to make more bottom-end torque than most leader bikes will. I mean, the leader bikes don't really get into their torque band until, you know, 6 upwards. This is almost into the meat of its torque band, you know, at 2,000 RPM. It hits its like absolute peak at 9,000, but there's not much between the low end and the high end. I mean, it just, when you're riding it, it just feels, amazing. It has no torque band that I can feel. It just goes, no matter where you are in the rev range. Obviously, no wind protection. It's really blowy. But it feels, if you've ridden another naked before, it feels exactly the same, to be honest. And there is a windshield available for it, but Yamaha haven't brought them out yet. But I'm just sitting in 5th gear, and you know, that's happy. I'm going to see if I can get to the instant fuel usage without falling off. Let's have a look. There we go. I think that's instant. Yep, it is. There we go. Alright, so just cruising along at 60, constant throttle, using like 3.6 litres per 100. And I know this isn't going to be very accurate probably, but they're usually in the ballpark, unless it's an Aprilia. Oh, just go, you dickhead. Mary, mother of God. It's got a nice little burble when you're just cruising. It's because wop, 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 wop. Jesus, it feels light though. Like, I just move my weight a tiny bit on this bike and you can feel the chassis moving around. Let's see if we can get past these cars. Woo! It's an awesome stoplight weapon, this thing. Someone said the Street Triple was faster off the line. Now, I think that would just come down to how big your balls are, because I can't honestly see the Street Triple being quicker than this thing. I mean, the only problem with this is you're not leaning far enough forward and the front end just wants to come up constantly. But But then again, it's, you know, that was second gear then, and as long as you're really smooth winding on the power, it seems okay. I haven't tried A mode yet, because, I mean, standard was enough for me to get annoyed with it. That's not saying I can't handle it, it's just, you don't want to have to be thinking about how much throttle you're giving the bike constantly. It just gets irritating. You just want to sort of roll on the power and not worry about it. The factory tyres on this are also the Battle Axe S20 Bridgestones. I got lucky actually, because a lot of them come with Dunlops as well, so I don't know what the Dunlop is, but I prefer these Battle Axe tyres, so I'm glad I got that on this one. Front brakes, there are 298mm discs, I think. The calipers are 4-piston monoblocks. Feel quite good. Bit spongy, definitely not as direct as the Triumph ones. But I am getting braided lines soon, so, because you've got to remember the Triumphs come with braided lines. I have to say the gearing choice on this bike seems excellent out of the box. It's not too tall, not too short. That was the biggest problem I had with the that CVR, and I did ride another leader bike as well, but I didn't do a video of that one, and the gearing's just ridiculous for the street. The only other thing I've noticed with the bike, it has its moments where it doesn't want to start when it's really cold. No idea why. It's once it's running, it's fine, but yeah, I think it was last night. It was I had to crank it in two sets to get it to start. The first time it just would not fire. It's a little bit odd. It's possible it's, you know, just cleaning itself out. It's brand new, remember, so. Controls are very, very responsive on this bike overall. Like, you just feel it. It wants you to tell it what to do. It's like, yes, let's do it. Go, go, go. Yeah, it's a fantastic buy for its price. I mean, the street triple I was looking at, I was up for another $4,000. The Daytona was another $6,000. And, you know, I did weigh up, you know, if I'm going to end up spending that money on mods anyway, but at the end of the day, I end up with a bigger engine with this bike, and you can't do much about the Triumphs when it comes to that. The suspension, yeah, I can play around with that, but, you know, I can replace it at least. You're going to struggle to put a bigger engine in the street triple. Jesus Christ. Fucking idiots. People in Australia cannot drive for shit. Anyway, guys, I'll probably end the video here. Like I said, I'll do a proper follow-up review as I go with my normal vlogs, and just talk about a few things and the ownership of this wonderful machine. Alright, I will catch you later. Pew!